Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio.
So for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world. Time!
Three on the way. Oh! It went in! It went in! And Indiana wins the ball game! Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni! Float game for the win! Taylor's gone. Goodbye. Touchdown, Indy. Woo! IU. America. They got a football team now.
It's pretty simple. I win. Google me.
You know that I'm the cream of the crop.
Oh, now, here's Jim Coyle.
Well, happy Monday, everybody. I'm glad to be. Happy Monday, everybody. Glad that you're here. Happy to start the week off with you. Hope you had a great weekend. We'll start it all over and do it again, as we usually do. Looking forward to another fun day. Don Fischer will join us. Greg Rakestraw and Dustin Dopirak will get caught up on everything that happened over the weekend and what's coming up, as there is plenty. It's tournament time all over. Big Ten Conference tournament starts tomorrow, I believe. The Masters is not too far away. Man, it's all coming up. The NCAA tournament, though, nothing bigger. Looking forward to it. Indiana's hopes are on a string after losing this weekend convincingly, as I might add. Man, that was a surprising game, but not really that surprising, I guess, when you think about it. Ohio State has been playing well. I said it. I said it before the game. They have been playing well and played well in that game and kept things going. So Indiana's hopes are now kind of on a string, but they're also in their own hands. They have the opportunity to go to Chicago and make some noise. We'll see how that works out for the Hoosiers. I think they're a 10 seed in the Big Ten tournament. So, yeah, it's not exactly how everyone had hoped that this season would go. I think that they've underperformed, but it's not over with yet. So let's let them finish. But I have to say they've underperformed. But we'll wait till everything's over to go over all of that. Brian says they need to lose the second round game Wednesday and do whatever it is they do in the offseason. Well, I don't know that I agree with that. I think they should do whatever they can to get into the tournament. But will say this, all focus for next season should be on developing the best roster you can find, period. Look at the other team. I watched the Michigan State game. Wow, great game. Fun to watch. But those were talented teams, man. I mean, uber talented. My goodness. Great talent. You've got to go out and get great talent. Land great talent. Dusty May is doing it. Tom Izzo is still doing it. That's all there is to it. You have to now. It's not as much about coaching. Not that coaching doesn't matter. It does. But coaching used to matter more for a player over a 4-year period, in my opinion, because that was a big part of development. You were developing You were not only coaching, but you were developing talent. And the coaches and teams that developed talent the best were the most successful. One of the reasons why Bob Knight was successful, not that he didn't have great talent coming in, but he also had a lot of guys that weren't the most talented that proved to be great players. And he's not alone. But now that's not the case. It's about talent, having talent now, not about developing talent later. You've got to have it right now. My goodness, like I said, look at Michigan. They have the ability to shoot the long ball. They have a great guard play. They have great play inside. Same with Michigan State. Jeremy Fears is he's halfway on the whack outside. Got caught again yesterday with just one of those fouls that you just want to pop him in the forehead and say, "What the hell are you doing?" He's got a guy on his back, and I can't remember if the guy was maybe leaning on him a little bit, but he raises his right leg up between the guy's legs all the way up. A very unnatural movement. And he's the one that's doing this a lot, and it Fears. And it's like, dude, stop with that. But it's in him. It's part of who he is. Because there was another time he drew a foul from the big guy on Michigan, and the guy had kind of reached over and grabbed him on the shoulder a little bit. But the first instinct to Jeremy Fears, and he did it multiple times in the game, is to just snap his head back as if he had been grabbed by the hair. You know how these players snap their heads back all the time? It drives me insane. Every time I see that, that's flopping. It's flopping. But it is what it is. It is what it is. So, got lots going on today. The Fish will join us, Don Fischer, as we head into the Big Ten tournament. We'll talk to him about, pretty much about what I just spoke about. The Hoosiers are where they are, and their hopes lie next week. Or will they play in the Crown tournament? They don't have to play in the Crown tournament. It means they wouldn't play at all. Should this team, personally, the only reason I see playing in the Crown tournament, play your younger guys some. Play Ristic more. Play Sisley more. I'm a little surprised Ristic has not played more. That makes me wonder again about player development here. Why is he not? He's supposed to be pretty good, and he doesn't look bad when he's on the court. Where, does he have some deficiencies? What is it, defensive? What, I don't know, but would have liked to have seen him on the floor a little bit this season. None of these guys. And I'm like, really? So, Gritty, you can't be that. You can't just, Gritty says she's done watching this team. It's one of her least favorite teams ever. You can't just write. You got to, if you're a fan of whoever you're a fan of, you can't just write them off. You don't have to like them, but Cheryl says, play and give the bench time to develop. I'm not, that's kind of what I'm saying. I'm like, let these guys play, man. I know you can't run them all in there at the same time and do this and then lose the game. That's not the point, but there have just been times I think that they could have played more and should have played more. But, It is what it is. Sectional play, man. We'll talk to Greg Rakestraw all about that. But lots going on there. 4A, Sectional 1, Crown Point, Lafayette, Jeff. Had them all, man. Noblesville, Greenfield Central, Plainfield, Pike High School, Pike Red Devils. They defeat Brownsburg. They're going to the regional. Plenty more. Looking forward to it all. Hey, we'll go ahead and take a break. Make way for the Don. Fish will join us. Up next, glad to have you along on this Monday. Jim Coyle is back right after these messages. And don't forget, if getting ready to watch the Big Ten tournament, head out to Dave & Buster's. They've got all kinds of specials. Plus, you can take the kids out Monday through Sunday or Sunday through Thursday, half-price games. You can let them go, and you can watch the games on a big wall screen TVs. Plenty more. You can have your watch parties there. You can have birthday parties there. They've got private rooms, private suites, game suites. Got it all, baby. Let's take a break. Back with the Fish right after these messages.
Andy Moore Honda Bloomington has the deals for you, like great savings on the remaining 2025 Hondas. First-time buyers get more than expected. The Honda Civic and HR-V are the most popular vehicles for first-time buyers in the U.S. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington also has a quality selection of pre-certified used vehicles. And check out the selection of Andy Moore Honda Bloomington's 2026 models, like the Honda Passport, Honda CR-V Hybrid, Honda Ridgeline, and more. ISB Radio with Jim Coyle is brought to you exclusively on The Zone by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemore@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today.
Zach Browning here to tell you about an offer you simply can't pass up. If you're looking for the best coverage of Indiana football and basketball, which includes recruiting, weekly chats, podcasts, as well as access to the best national team out there, then look no further than thehoosier.com. The best part, it's just $1 for the first week. Oh, and did I mention that you get a full year of access to The Athletic when you sign up? You can't beat the coverage, and you can't beat the deal. So head over to thehoosier.com today and sign up for just $1. It'll be the best decision you ever made.
Bored, Bloomington? Dave & Buster's can fix that. Eat and drink your way through our all-new menu. Play half-price games every Sunday through Thursday. Watch all your team's wins on a 40-foot screen and 30 HD TVs. And level all up with the high-flying human crane that puts you in the game. Private game suites, our exclusive arena, and more. Only at Dave & Buster's on 731 South College Mall Road.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Monday. Jim Coyle with you, as always, joined by the Fish, Don Fischer. Don, I know this weekend did not go as Indiana had hoped. And, boy, unfortunately, it went south pretty quick as Ohio State jumped on the Hoosiers and got them down quick. And they were treading water the whole time, it seemed.
Yeah, they just couldn't quite, they just couldn't quite get it going in this ball game against the Buckeyes. And, they were all jacked up there. That's the best crowd I think they've had probably at Ohio State this year. I don't know. I haven't seen all their ball games, of course, but it was packed. And that place holds 19,000 plus. And they were jacked up because they knew that Bruce Thornton was going to break the all-time scoring record for Ohio State basketball. And he did that in the first half. He needed 12 points to gain the record. And Dennis Hobson held that record for several years, of course. And he got those 12 points in the first half, and a 3-point shot just before halftime was the difference maker. And of course, everybody went nuts and the standing ovation, all that kind of thing, which, congratulations to Bruce Thornton, because he's been a mainstay there for 4 seasons now. And it's maybe a record that will never be broken, because guys don't stick around anymore. If they're not playing, they're gone. They're going to go someplace else, that kind of thing. It's kind of like Calvert Cheney's record for a Big Ten, all-time scoring record for the Big Ten. Calvert Cheney's record's probably going to stand forever. He will always be remembered as the guy that held the scoring record in Big Ten play from Indiana University. So, it was not a good performance by Indiana, in the sense they fought, they battled, as they always do, got it down to 10 in the second half. They were down 17 at halftime. That little run there at the end of the half with Thornton's 3 and a couple of other baskets that made it a 17-point lead. But Indiana just didn't. They shot the ball well enough. They just did not play well enough at the defensive end of the floor. And I was impressed by what Ohio State did in this ball game. They moved the basketball. They played very much as a team, just like Indiana does for the most part. And I was impressed by him. I got to say that, because I thought Indiana had a chance to win this ball game, and they never really got into it to the point where they had a chance to do something special there. But all that being said, we're down to the nitty gritty at this point, Jim, and it's called the Big Ten tournament, and it's a one and done scenario, as everybody knows. And unfortunately, Indiana's situation at this point doesn't appear to be a great deal better than what we thought it might be in a years past. And I say that in the sense that Indiana has been knocked out of the Big Ten tournament started in 1998. Indiana has lost their first game in this tournament 16 times. Has never reached the championship game but once. That was back in early 2000. And they've had 16 times they've been knocked out in the first game they played in this tournament. I don't think that's going to happen this time. I think they're going to win this first ball game against either Northwestern or Penn State. And I think they've got a chance then they'll play Purdue if they win. Whoever they play, they'll play Purdue. And I think there's now a chance for Indiana to get back in the NCAA picture in a big way.
Well, absolutely, because Purdue is a team that Indiana fortunately does match up well with. That's one of the few things I've said earlier. Before they beat them the first time, of course, they lost in West Lafayette,
Right.
But it's still one of the teams they match up with. They don't have well, I was talking about it before you joined us. I was talking about watching the Michigan State game, and I'm like, dude, my God, they're so talented at every position. Well, Purdue is not that they're not talented, but Indiana, their guys are where Indiana can at least match up with them defensively. Reed Bailey is playing a lot better. Obviously, he comes off the bench yesterday and has double digits. That's something Indiana has been missing tremendously, Don, not getting support off the bench. As a matter of fact, look, if you looked at yesterday's scoring book, any other game, that looks like a win, because they're getting scoring from guys they haven't been getting scoring from. And it was, you said it was defense. They gave up 91 points because if they had played a game they normally play and that was the result, they win that game. But if they can get back to playing defense and playing teams that they match up better with, and if you can beat a Purdue, then that alone, that might get you into the tournament. But their shot lies. It's in their own hand, Dons.
It is. There's no question about that. And this is a basketball team that has risen to the occasion several times this year. And right now they're in that position where it's a one and done scenario. And there's no question in my mind they could beat Northwestern. They had Northwestern in the matchup that they had earlier this year, a couple of weeks ago. They could have won that ball game. They did not.
They could have beat Nebraska.
Exactly. There are games this year that Indiana has let slip away, And that's not a negative in the sense that, both teams are competing like crazy out there. And that's the kind of thing that happens in these ball games. And once you get into the Big Ten tournament, anything can happen. And I think there's a really good chance that this ball club could advance. And if they could win 2 ball games in this tournament, I think they're a lock for the NCAA tournament. If they win 1 ball game and look good in the second, then I still think there's a slight possibility, but I don't know how. I'm not a bracketology guy at all. I don't look at that stuff. I just know what we've seen in the past, and you go through history. You've got to play well at the end of a season, and this team has struggled a little bit here at the end of the year, which is the biggest problem I see from a committee perspective, because that committee is going to decide who gets in and who doesn't, who's the last team in, and all those kinds of things. They make those decisions. And if you leave it in their hands, then you're in a tough position, no question.
Well, we saw that happen last year when actually Indiana probably should have made it last year, but they left that decision in someone else's hands where there are other teams in that same boat, and they didn't make it. And they've lost 5 out of their last 6. And that's something that the committee looks at, as you mentioned.
Right.
So, but if they can win those 2 games, as you said, especially one over Purdue, I agree. I think that gets them in. Their metrics numbers are very good still. They're up there, but you got to win, and that's the long and the short of it. So we'll see how that goes.
Yep. I mean, this ball club, here's what I will say to wrap up my feeling on this team this year going into the Big Ten tournament. I think Darren DeVries has done a tremendous job. He's got basically mid-major players playing in the Big Ten that none of these guys have ever faced before. I've said this before. I think that he has done a tremendous job getting these guys to play hard, to play together. They've done that all year long. Yeah, they've had some downfalls, and they haven't played as well as you'd like in some particular ball games, but that's the norm for every team. Otherwise, you'd be unbeaten. You know what I'm saying? I mean, everybody's been beaten this year except for Miami, and they've come close about 15 times in a row. I mean, they just continue to somehow find a way to win a ball game at the end, and they've been in a million of those type ball games. And Miami's not going to go unbeaten in the tournament. They're not. They probably will get into the tournament. Even though
as they should. A lot of people have talked about that, and I'm like, hey, put them in. There's enough teams in there that I think are questionable. They deserve to be in just for what they've accomplished, especially when you already have 66,000, and they're wanting to add more to this tournament, Don.
Yeah.
I laugh because I'm looking at the Big Ten bracket right now. Just the Big Ten bracket. It looks like the Southeast bracket for the NCAA tournament or something. And so I look at that bracket. You've got to go through this. And imagine if you were a team that was able to battle from the back to the front and then get into the tournament and then have to – it's like, dude, this is – whew. Do you think they should drop it back to the 15 teams?
You know what? I've stopped guessing on these kinds of things. I just at this juncture, when I started at Indiana, it was a 32 team bracket for the NCAA tournament. Now we've got 68, and play-ins and all this kind of stuff. They just keep expanding and all that kind of thing. I have no view on that at this point. I think the tournament is one of the best. I think it's one of the best events in college sports, the NCAA tournament.
In all of sports.
Exactly. I think it's a tremendous event. There's no doubt about that. I think you can blow it to some degree, to the point where it's no longer as good as it can be. Because I think you've got to have something that forces you to play the kind of basketball to get into the event. In other words, you can't just let everybody be in the tournament. You know what I mean?
Although they're damn trying, Don. They're trying.
I know what they're doing, and I understand that. The more the merrier, so to speak. But there's got to be some value to a conference championship. There's got to be some value to the regular season. And take all that away, then what are you playing for?
Yeah.
You know? So I just think there's got to be a limit. It has to be.
Who's the best team you've seen in the Big Ten this year so far?
Michigan.
Yeah.
No doubt in my mind.
I mean, yeah, they're just big. They're a lot of things. That game against Michigan State yesterday, that was fun to watch, and fun basketball. And we'll get to see that coming up ahead.
Oh, I think Michigan. I think they've got the best chance of anybody in the Big Ten to go all the way. No question.
I agree. No doubt. Illinois is tough. Michigan State's tough, but Michigan is really, boy, they're a complete team without question.
Exactly.
I forget who I was talking to at the end or sometime last week, and I forget what we were talking about, but something about, maybe you and your favorite music. Do you have Outkast or did you have an Outkast song on your phone?
I did. That one time.
How did that come to be? I do not think of Don and Outkast.
No, well, I liked their one song. I like the way you move. I loved that. Once I get through all the hip hop stuff and I just like that theme or that the way that music sounded when they were actually singing. I like the way you move. I just liked it. So I put it on my phone as a ringtone. The first time I was with I can't remember who I was with, a bunch of young guys, players. I think at one point I was on the bus, my phone rang, and that song came up. I like the way you move, and these kids all looked at me like, "What are you doing, old man? What you got that on your phone for?" You know, that kind of thing. So yeah, I did have that on my phone at one time.
That's great. What's on there now?
Nothing, just a ringtone. I actually had it on there for about 2 years, you know, but at some point you change it, you know, just for whatever reason.
Well, Don will be heading to Chicago for the broadcast of the Big Ten tournament. Is that all that's coming up next for you?
Literally, I'm going to go on vacation here shortly at some point because it's been a long year in the sense of both football and basketball and the combination of the two. I can honestly say it probably wore me out a little bit this year, but there's no doubt we'll be back next season. So,
yeah, I look forward to talking about how special it was once on the your last when you joined us last about how special it was this year. But hey, enjoy it, man, and make sure you catch Don for the broadcasts coming up. Hopefully there are multiple in the men's Big Ten tournament. Appreciate you, Don.
Thanks, bud. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. There he goes, the Don of broadcasting, Don Fischer, joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Back with plenty more right after we take a little break and these messages.
The ISC Sports Network is your home for sports content across the Hoosier State. Find us live on TV and streaming or archived on our website and our app. The ISC is your one-stop shop for the content you want to see, including high school sports, college sports, and other great events throughout the year. Subscribe to our streaming service and get access to it all. ISC. Local lives here.
If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemoreSells@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington has the deals for you, like great savings on the remaining 2025 Hondas. First-time buyers get more than expected. The Honda Civic and HR-V are the most popular vehicles for first-time buyers in the U.S. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington also has a quality selection of pre-certified used vehicles. And check out the selection of Andy Moore Honda Bloomington's 2026 models, like the Honda Passport, Honda CR-V Hybrid, Honda Ridgeline, and more. ISB Radio with Jim Coyle is brought to you exclusively on The Zone by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer.
Dave & Buster's Bloomington is the place to eat, drink, play, and watch. Enjoy half-price games every Sunday through Thursday, a new menu to dig into, and next-level upgrades like private game suites, the high-flying human crane that puts you in the game, our exclusive arena, and more. Only at Dave & Buster's Bloomington, 731 South College Mall Road.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Monday, getting your week started, hopefully off well. Hey, the weather's springy, and speaking of springy, Greg Rakestraw joins us. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, my friend. I will warn you, I am having a hard time hearing you, but I think we can muddle through it. I hope you had a great weekend.
Well, as good as I can. I hope you did as well. I know it was a busy one with sectional play in full mold, and boy, was there plenty of them. Where were you, and what did you get to see?
So I got to see Fischer and Carmel in the championship game, and we were camped out at Noblesville. It's the second year in a row from a television standpoint that we have broadcast what we call the Hamilton County sectional. And for those that think I'm geographically challenged, we basically annex Zionsville for the purposes of that nomenclature each and every year. But the crowds were tremendous. I don't know if Tuesday was a complete sellout. It was close. Friday and Saturday were. So, Jim, my estimate would be that it was myself, my 3 broadcast partners over the course of 3 nights, and 12,000 of our closest friends in Hamilton County. And obviously the payoff at the end was Carmel handing Fischer's their 3rd loss in 3 seasons. They finished a 3-year run at 83-3, and a team that was ranked in the top 20 in the nation by Max Preps does not make it out of the sectional round for the first time in 3 years.
Yeah, incredible. I was watching that game, Greg. Actually, I was watching the Indiana game someplace, but a guy next to me had that one on his phone. So I was actually watching that game instead, the Carmel Fischer's game, and it was quite a game. Back and forth that thing went, man. I mean, it was quite the battle. How did Carmel finally take Fischer's down?
Well, I would say this, from a Carmel standpoint, Ryan Osborne is such a good coach and has a college background. Has won 2 state championships in 2019 and 2021 at Carmel, but had not won a sectional title in the last 5 years. And by Carmel standards, they had been down. They had an under 500 record last year. But this was a group that because they've kind of grown together, had 3-year starters in terms of the guys that were playing. Ben Bremer at the game-winning shot. Evan Harrell, I think, is going to be an Indiana All-Star, played very well on Saturday after having kind of a down game for him on Friday night. And then Aiden Dickerson, who probably has more of a future as a football player, but he was the guy that was charged with guarding Jason Gardner, and Jason showed some ring rust. After he was amazing on Friday night, having scored 24 points in his first game in 77 days. He basically missed some shots. I think in a normal setting he doesn't miss. But part of it too is the fact that he's got a guy that is a combo defensive end and linebacker at 6'4", but very mobile with his physicality. That kind of presented him maybe more challenges than most in terms of finding a way to guard him. Carmel was also able to overcome, Jim, a self-inflicted wound. They play without Cash Daniels, their starting point guard, for the last 18 minutes of the game.
Yes.
There was a bit of a scuffle on the other side of the floor late in the second quarter. Cash was on the bench, and he committed the cardinal sin of leaving the bench and kind of going across I think to try to help separate, but you can't do that when you're not in the game. And so that was an ejection. And so Carmel not only beat one of the best teams in the nation, they did so without their point guard. And again, it was all of their own doing, and there's a chance he's going to miss the regional round too. But it was still an amazing atmosphere, a great game plan, and a very easy and fun game to call on Saturday night.
Who's your hysteria, baby? Back in full force. Absolutely. And it was, what a great game to watch. Great game to be there for mostly. And it was even fun. I'm telling you, watching it on a freaking phone. 2026, baby, nothing better. You're sitting at a place and where you're there to watch another game, but you're watching a high school game on a phone. I love it. And you can do that too with the ISC Sports Network. And following Greg on all of their broadcasts, Greg Rakestraw with us now, and so many great games and some surprises throughout 4A, but that is the biggest shocker, of course. Carmel upsetting Fischer's, and now that changes.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that's the biggest surprise with Fischer's going down. The other surprise from the Indianapolis area was Lawrence Central beating Lawrence North, although that was probably the team that had the best chance to beat them. LN was kind of a back-end top team most of the year. Again, I think Brendan Miller's an all-star heading to SIU Edwardsville. Cameron Webster, senior point guard. It wasn't a very deep LN team because of the loss of Kai McGrew to Fischer's this year, with Jamar Thomas leaving the program. But I thought that Chris Giffen got the most out of his group. At one point, LN, I think, was like 7 or 8 wins clear of the rest of the field at Tech. But LC played them to a 2-point game. And that, Jim, is one of the ultimate rivalries in Indiana because of being in the same district, kind of like Fischer's HSE, where you just go, I don't care what the record is. The other team's got a shot because beating that team is their Super Bowl. And so for Lawrence Central, that is their first sectional title in 7 years. And there doesn't have a great deal of it. I got to go back and I got to check the math. Maybe one semi-state appearance in school history. I'll have that information at my fingertips coming up later, but that would be a bit of a surprise. Other than that, form largely held. You get down to 1A, Couts was unbeaten, and they went down. I think Paoli is the last undefeated team left in 2A. And the other game that's worth mentioning from last week, this was not a surprise, but you kind of knew that one of these teams would go home early. Pike and Plainfield, 2 top 5 teams, drew each other in the semifinals in each other's first game Friday night at Plainfield, and Pike won that one coming from behind 56-53. Pike now becomes the favorite in 4A, but again, they're a favorite, but not a prohibitive favorite. And that's what he's even said about Fischer's, Jim, was that Fischer's was clearly the best team, but they were not an unbeatable team, and that played itself out over the course of the weekend.
Yeah, so now you've got a lot of teams that are saying, hey, we've got a shot, man, and Pike is one of those, but plenty others as well. Who would you pick as another 4A team to look out for?
Well, I think Carmel now you kind of look at as the favorite of the North, but, there's in the regional group for Hamilton County, it's kind of a down year in Fort Wayne. Harrison ended up winning their sectional, which is great for them because they won their first sectional in 25, 26 years last year. Frankly, I don't think they're as good this year as were last year, but just kind of had the right geography. But the groups that would be in sectionals 1 through 4, I think, are really good. Crown Point is fantastic, and Fischer's, that has been their stopping point the last 2 years. So now all of a sudden, Crown Point was probably cheering like crazy on Saturday night that Fischer's got beat. This is as good of a year that since we have went to class basketball, the South Bend area has ever had in terms of 4A, because St. Joe won their sectional, beat Riley, who was really good. St. Joe's been in the last 2 3A championship games. They've got probably 2 or 3 Division I kids on that team, including Micah Shrewsbury's son. The King kid, I think, is a really good player for them. They got a chance to get downstate because they have the athleticism where they can do it. But the other team is Northridge, and Scott Radiker coaches Northridge, and frankly, they play a lot like Carmel. They can grind you down on the half court and beat 38-36, if they have to. So the field is open as far as 4A is concerned. Pike and Carmel, if they played on January the 23rd, and Pike won at Carmel in overtime. I would sign up for that state championship game. That was a part of that state championship game 14 years ago. When those two teams played each other in the 4A final. It was the first of Carmel's 4 championships, kind of the modern era. But it's been that kind of year in 4A where you could say, yep, they're number 1 and they're number 2, but I can make a case for about 7 or 8 teams. And now that we're down to 16 teams in 4A, Jim, I can only make a case for about 5 or 6 teams to win a state championship, which is a sign that's been a pretty good year.
Absolutely, and it's a fun, some overtime games in 4A. I know South Bend St. Joe wins in overtime. Also, Fort Wayne Snyder wins in overtime. So you see that fun already. Then you move on to 3A, and the prohibitive favorite Silver Creek. They move on easily, and now who can give Silver Creek a run for their money?
Well, in terms of 3A, Jim, we have kind of tabbed this for the last couple of months that Silver Creek is the prohibitive favorite. There's one team that I go, you know what, I think those guys can compete, and that would be Cathedral. Cathedral handled business as expected, relatively easily at Broad Ripple. They beat Attucks in the final. Attucks was good, not great. By Attucks' standards, they're a little bit down this year. So Cathedral won handily in their sectional. Those two teams not see each other in the semi-state. Cathedral will play Brebeuf, who again is probably of the good, not great category. This is a year where the 3A bracket, again, there's nobody in Silver Creek's territory other than Cathedral. I'm not sure there's anybody else that would beat Cathedral other than Silver Creek. And I think in the last poll, Jim, I think 8 of the top 10 teams were in the southern half of the bracket. Like Northview is a really good team. Northview played Silver Creek and were beaten on about a 3 or 4 possession game when the two teams got together back on December the 23rd at the Hall of Fame Classic. Those 3 teams all, I think, should make the semi-state round. Northview's got to play Roncalli. Out of the northern half of 3A, Blackhawk Christian could easily make it to a state finals in a third different class, which says a lot about that program. Probably Columbia City and West Lafayette is an indication of the other best teams in 3A. But to kind of give you the difference in the southern half of the bracket and the northern half of the bracket in 3A this year, Jim, we had 2 3A sectional finals that went 31-22 and 18-13. I think the better half of the talent's in the 3A South, Jim.
Yeah, I was just looking at those scores. It's funny that you mentioned that right as I'm looking at them. And I'm like, wow, Columbia City and Northwood combine for 53 points. I'm like, wow, that either somebody's playing some great defense or they've got really bad offense. I'm going to go with that's a defensive thing. I'm not familiar with Columbia City and Northwood. Is that just a style that they play?
Only heard part of your question. Say that again, buddy. Sorry.
It's okay. I looked at Columbia City and Northwood, as you mentioned, and they score a total of 53 points. Is that just a style that Columbia City plays?
That is traditionally how Columbia City plays. And again, they are very well coached. Frankly, they were in 4A, and as part of the shrinking of 4A 2 years ago, they are now one of the larger 3A schools. They play a great schedule, and so part of that is just stylistically. Part of that is being well coached and being solid fundamentally. They're not boring. They're just really efficient at what they do, and they're really tough to score on.
Let's see. I looked at 2A. Who's going to win it in 2A?
2A, Park Heritage is a team that has caught my attention just because Rich Shelsky, his son Trey's really good. They've won numerous sectionals in a row, and they've only been around for less than 10 years because that is the merger of Rockville and Turkey Run. But to their credit, they played Plainfield and Ben Davis. They went out and played as many 4A schools as they could. They played Terre Haute North, who's a sectional champ yet again, and I think will be in the semi-state again like they were a season ago. Park Heritage just played a great schedule. Centerville's a really good team in 2A, and last game that Centerville played, they beat Pendleton Heights, who had a pretty solid season as a 4A team this year. Gary 21st Century should get your attention from the northern half of the 2A bracket, and Oak Hill is outstanding. Greg Tonningle has built such a great program at Indiana Wesleyan. His kids are now going through Oak Hill. Greg, played at Valpo. Greg was an outstanding player at LaPorte. His kids pretty good basketball players too. And so 2A is a lot like 4A, where I can make a case for about 7 or 8 teams that I think have a chance to get through and make it to Gamebridge Fieldhouse and potentially be a state champ.
And unfortunately, Milan loses at their own sectional 73-42 to Hauser. So no Milan miracle this year. I think we should cheer for that every year. Wouldn't that be incredible to see Milan win a state championship again?
It would be at some point in time, but they weren't going to get by Hauser, even their own building. Milan hosted that sectional, but Coach Moorhead's in his second year at Hauser and has done a phenomenal job. And now that Couts is out of 1A, my guess would be the 1A championship probably comes down to when Bar Reeve and Hauser play each other, and that would be at some point in the semi-state. You know, there had been kind of three teams that had maybe kind of been above the rest in terms of 1A this year: Bar Reeve, Hauser, and Couts. Couts got sent home in the sectional championship on Saturday night. Hauser and Bar Reeve still standing, and usually whoever wins that sectional that includes Bar Reeve, North Davies, Lagodi, and Orleans, whoever comes out of that, they're the favorite. I think that's the case for Heath Howington's team at Bar Reeve. Again, the Hauser Jets, probably the team that has the best chance to hang with them going forward.
Well, I can't wait for these. Now, are the regionals two teams or they're four teams still, right?
All right, so the regional format, it is one game. You could have two games at a site that are from completely different classes. They change that. You get 32 teams to the semi-state that way. Semi-state round is the round where you play twice in one day. So you either play at 1, 4, or 7 Eastern time. And so it's just a one-game regional coming up. Like, for example, I'll be at Southport, and both of those kind of the more traditional in terms of being 4 teams, same class, same area. So I get Pike and Mount Vernon, Lawrence Central, and Decatur Central. Those are the games that I'll have on ISC and my NDTV coming up on Saturday.
Looking forward to it. Make sure you either a subscriber. Do you all have subscriptions?
We do have subscriptions, but I will tell people, now that we're in the regional round or semi, and then the same with the sectional, all postseason games go to ihsaatv.org. So I would love for you to subscribe to the ISC Sports Network, iscsportsnetwork.com, by the way. But if you are looking for regional games and that's your reason to subscribe, just wait. Go to ihsaatv.org. They are all free during the regional round. They then go behind a pay-per-view wall for semi-state. But again, for next week for the semi-state, a reminder, folks, $20 gets you access to all 24 games that are played on that Saturday. So pretty good deal for your money.
That will be quite a Saturday, I assure you, because these games have already been fun. That's going to be a whack down. Do you have favorites for a favorite?
For a favorite would be Pike at this point, Jim.
Okay, so you're going to go with the 3A favorite,
Silver Creek.
Besides Silver Creek, who can knock
Silver Creek easily?
Who can knock Silver Creek off?
Cathedral.
That's right. We already said that. 2A.
2A, I would go with Park Heritage, but they are one of many teams that I think could win a 2A championship. If I had to lean anyway, I'd be Park Heritage, Oak Hill playing each other in the 2A championship game.
That'd be fun to look forward to. And 1A.
And if you're asking for a 1A favorite, Bar Reeve Vikings, who I would go with.
Look forward to it, Greg. I appreciate you. Make sure you are following everything that happens on the ISC Sports Network, but also everything that they're doing right now with the IHSAA TV, which is plenty. Appreciate you as always, sir.
You got it, buddy. We'll talk to you next week. And by the way, I will say this. There's going to be an episode in the upcoming future. The Jim, I will have a very special surprise for you. So just a tease of future events of me being on the program.
Looking forward to it as always, and grateful for Greg.
I expect free Dave and Buster's is the guy that reads that spot, by the way. Just warning you now.
You can get whatever you want, brother. I'll take care of you anytime. Appreciate you.
I'll see you, pal.
Absolutely. Greg Rakestraw from the ISC Sports Network and the man behind the mic on many of these great games that are coming up now in Indiana high school. Just like our friend Kyle Neddenrip is the guy for high school sports in the print area. He's been doing it for so long. Such a great guy. Greg's the same way. There is no one. I'm not going to say probably. There is no one who does more in broadcasting in the state of Indiana than Greg Rakestraw. He's involved in high school football, in high school basketball. And I'm not just talking one game. I'm talking deep in all of those. Then all of the other things he does, the college things that they do, the ISC Sports Network. He does stuff for the lower level ESPN games. I am at IMS, Indianapolis Motor Speedway, on the PA. The dude is omnipresent, man. But that's mainly because being talented. That'll get you a lot of things. Let's take a quick break. Back with more right after these messages from our favorite sponsors.
Indiana football accomplished what no other team ever has. Big Ten, Rose Bowl, Peach Bowl, and CFP national champions. The Hoosiers have etched their name into the history books as the first 16-0 team in the modern era. A limited edition of only 5,000 commemorative national championship footballs has been released. 3 full panels embossed and stamped with every championship logo and fully licensed. Get your piece of history today at NICOsports.com. That's NICOsports.com.
Andy Moore Honda Bloomington has the deals for you, like great savings on the remaining 2025 Hondas. First-time buyers get more than expected. The Honda Civic and HR-V are the most popular vehicles for first-time buyers in the U.S. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington also has a quality selection of pre-certified used vehicles. And check out the selection of Andy Moore Honda Bloomington's 2026 models, like the Honda Passport, Honda CR-V Hybrid, Honda Ridgeline, and more. ISB Radio with Jim Coyle is brought to you exclusively on The Zone by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemoreSells@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today.
Zach Browning here to tell you about an offer you simply can't pass up. If you're looking for the best coverage of Indiana football and basketball, which includes recruiting, weekly chats, podcasts, as well as access to the best national team out there, then look no further than thehoosier.com. The best part, it's just $1 for the first week. Oh, and did I mention that you get a full year of access to The Athletic when you sign up? You can't beat the coverage, and you can't beat the deal. So head over to thehoosier.com today and sign up for just $1. It'll be the best decision you ever made.
Bored, Bloomington? Dave and Buster's can fix that. Eat and drink your way through our all-new menu. Play half-price games every Sunday through Thursday. Watch all your team's wins on a 40-foot screen and 30 HD TVs. And level up with the high-flying human crane that puts you in the game. Private game suites, our exclusive arena, and more. Only at Dave & Buster's on 731 South College Mall Road.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Monday. Glad to be here, Jim Coyle, and glad to be starting the week off with you. It's going to be an exciting one. We're getting into tournament play of men's basketball for, well, Indiana High School has already started. It started this past weekend. Actually, men's basketball started last week as well, with many of the lower conferences getting their tournaments in play this week. The remainders of those, and all of the big boys, the Big Ten, the Big 12, the ACC, the SEC, and whomever else has not started play. So the Big Ten definitely getting those going this week. And that starts on Tuesday. Let's see, I had the bracket pulled up earlier. 2 games, just 2 games on the opening day. Maryland at versus Oregon. These are in Chicago, by the way. Then Penn State, Northwestern. Boy, I'd certainly see Northwestern come out of that game. Of course, Oregon, I think, will lose to Maryland, and that'll leave Iowa to take on Maryland. And then if Northwestern wins the game like I expect, that's whom Indiana will play. And if they can get by
whomever they end up playing. They will then face Purdue. And without question, they have to win both of those games. I know we just took a break, but let's stay on target, and we'll take another one, get back into the next hour in time for Dustin Dopirak to join us. We're back with plenty more right after these messages.
The ISC Sports Network is your home for sports content across the Hoosier State. Find us live on TV and streaming or archived on our website and our app. The ISC is your one-stop shop for the content you want to see, including high school sports, college sports, and other great events throughout the year. Subscribe to our streaming service and get access to it all. ISC. Local lives here.
If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemoreSells@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington has the deals for you, like great savings on the remaining 2025 Hondas. First-time buyers get more than expected. The Honda Civic and HR-V are the most popular vehicles for first-time buyers in the U.S. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington also has a quality selection of pre-certified used vehicles. And check out the selection of Andy Moore Honda Bloomington's 2026 models, like the Honda Passport, Honda CR-V Hybrid, Honda Ridgeline, and more. ISB Radio with Jim Coyle is brought to you exclusively on The Zone by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer.
Dave & Buster's Bloomington is the place to eat, drink, play, and watch. Enjoy half-price games every Sunday through Thursday, a new menu to dig into, and next-level upgrades like private game suites, the high-flying human crane that puts you in the game, our exclusive arena, and more. Only at Dave & Buster's Bloomington, 731 South College Mall Road.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Monday. Glad to have you along. Gladly starting the week off with you. Plenty of action over the weekend as the regular season comes to a close for men's basketball. But plenty of other things going on as well. Auto racing is underway, NASCAR underway, IndyCar underway. We're not that far away from the month of May, as we're just into March here. But March and April, it'll go by, and then the entire month of May up at Indianapolis. And we'll be bringing you action from the month of May. We'll probably be doing some shows right from the Speedway. Man, it would be cool if there was times where they were running at that time of day. But we'll see. Dustin Dopirak should be joining us in this hour. Looking forward to that, as always. And we'll talk about where the Pacers are and their hopes for continued losing. It's funny. We're talking about Indiana and hopefully they can get some wins. And you talk about the Pacers and you hope they can continue to pick up some losses. So there's that. Russell says the 2025 National Championship, the Indiana Hoosiers are among the favorites to win the 2020. I don't know what he's talking about. But anyway, it's basketball time, baby. Time to start picking your brackets and all of that good stuff. Who do you think's going to win the national championship? There's no definitive pick. I can tell you that. Anybody that says this team's a no-doubter, well, first of all, that's a lie. There's never a no-doubter. But of all times, now, Arizona, so good. Michigan, so good. All of those top 3 teams are exquisite, but these teams that'll be 2 seeds, they're tough as nails. Michigan State, for example, man, they have a lot of talent. And the funny Jeremy Fears, the dude is so talented. I guarantee you, he is absolutely driving Tom Izzo insane because the dude is so talented and has so much ability, but always does this, just does something and I know that while Izzo's straightforward, on some things he'll say, oh, that's crap, he shouldn't do this, that. And then he'll also talk about how he's under more of a microscope. Well, that happens when you're constantly doing stuff. Like yesterday, that was just the fact that you do that, and you'd have been watching the game, but he had the ball, was dribbling at a stop position. A defender was on his back and, may have put pressure on him, but he on his left foot kind of leans forward with the ball, and then his right foot, he just lifts it up behind him all the way up between the legs of the defender all the way until he made contact. And that's not natural. It's not a natural movement, and it's not something that many people view, if any, are even thinking of doing. So the fact that that's in his mind, just like earlier I talked about, he had there was a breakaway steal that he grabbed, and one of the Michigan's big guy, reached out to kind of grab him on the shoulder, and if you watch Fears snap his head back. Now, he's not the only one that does that now, but so many people do. Snap the head back. It drives me nuts. Speaking of people that snap their head and just drive you nuts, right on cue, Dustin Dopirak, the king of all head snappers.
Anything, man.
What's that?
I said you will segue anything. That was something else.
I can't. Hey, man, it might be the only thing I do well. So I've got to roll with it. I was actually talking about Jeremy Fears and how talented he is, but how much he has to drive Tom Izzo insane, knowing how Tom Izzo is. And, in yesterday's game, I don't know if you saw it, but he had a defender on his back. He was in a stop dribbling position. And
I saw the kick, yeah.
It's like, who thinks of that? Just the fact that that's in his mind tells you that that's always in his mind. And then because later on when he had a clean steal and the big guy from Michigan, I forget, but grabbed him on the shoulder, and the first thing he does, he snaps his head back. And I'm like, that's not natural. And I saw him snap his head at other times during the game. It's just, that's in his mind every time to try to flop.
Yeah, I don't know about the kick, but the flop, the snap the head back thing is definitely there. I mean, I like covering the NBA. I just, nobody's above it. You know what I mean? I guess that's the thing that I keep seeing. Like I know people.
Isn't LeBron the king, one of the kings of flopping?
Sure. I mean, like they sell it, and it's not like no one's above it. And
I can't believe the officials buy it. Is what I'm like, dude. Do you not see this all the time and know that that's a flop? It's not natural movements.
I mean, yes, but the bigger issue is officials have to see so much, and that's where it starts is like they have to process so much. There's so much contact. There's so much this, there's so much that. And like these fouls make a difference. You know what I mean? If you don't get it's sort of like, you're trying to make sure you get what you're owed at the end of the day, and that's kind of the thing is that sometimes you're better off playing through contact because you'll get the foul and something else, but over time, especially in the NBA when you're playing 82 games, you have to make your case. I mean, these guys don't shut up. I mean, this happens all the time. And I would say guys that I consider really ethical basketball players, sell it all the time. And you get continuation calls in the NBA and stuff like that, where, somebody makes contact with you and then you don't have to be shooting at the time and you can still get a continuation call. And so, these guys try to sell a shot, immediately. And so there's this fine dividing line of, okay, like when were you shooting, when were you not? And it's different than it is in college. And, they've got to find a way to, to make the case. And so for as much as I get that it's like, okay, well, you're selling it. Well, to some extent, the officials are kind of looking for them to sell it because it's like, man, like I got to see everything. And I'm not going to catch it all. And so on some level, it's like, NBA players, like their view is, man, like you got to let them know because they're not going to catch it all. They're human. They're not going to be able to find every contact. And it's not in your best interest to just believe in their ability and say, okay, well, they'll get me, they'll figure it out. Like, it's like, no, man, like you got to make your case, like squeaky wheel gets grease, I think. And like, I see a bunch of guys that I would consider generally ethical players, ethical people that are like, I mean, Pascal Siakam sells it all the time, and Halliburton absolutely does. Halliburton absolutely doesn't think he gets enough fouls. It was funny he was when he was on the LeBron podcast, he talked about asking Austin Reeves how he gets fouled all the time, and like Austin was like, Tyrese, you don't do enough. Like you're not physical enough. Like you don't play through enough contact, and that's why. And like you've got to be able to do that in the first place. You're not going and seeking out contact. You're not playing as tough as you need to. But selling it is part of it. Selling it is just part of it, and it's annoying. And fans hate it. And I know that. But like, if you're a player, you're like, man, I need the foul. I need the foul. We got to go to the line. And like when someone makes contact and I can sell it, I got to get it. I can't think about like whether somebody thinks I look cool or not, or whether I'm a whiner or whatever. Like their view is, man, those are a lot of points. At the end of the day, like the points that you're going to get when you're in a ref's ear, to make sure that like he sees you're getting fouled, the extra points you get over the course of a year is a lot. It's a game changer. It makes a difference. Wins and losses, your numbers, everything. So apologies, I'm coming down with something out here. But yeah, I mean, it's a huge deal. And like, as annoying as it is, I get it, and like you would think that refs don't see it, but it's like, I mean, when you're an official and you're, like calling a game and everything like that, and like everybody is trying to work you, everybody, whole group, all 10 guys that are out there. You're not going to pick the guy who's quiet and act like you owe him, like that's not how the mind works, basically. Like when guys are like, dude, especially good players, especially players that have the ball, that are ball dominant, that are going to the rim all the time, they're like, hey man, like he's hitting me here, like he's getting me here. He's like, okay, so like, I mean, like he's got my arm, he's got my this, he's got my that, like there's a line. And I think guys, like there are refs that are like, okay, you're doing too much, man. Like I'm not going to give you all these, and I'm going to tee you up eventually because you're getting out of hand. Like I think Luka gets that sometimes. That being said, like Luka goes to the line all the time. Luka goes to the line plenty. And so, like it works, I'd hate, as much as, it's like, all right, I understand that it's annoying. It's effective. And there's a reason why everybody does it. It's effective. You're asking a guy to see like thousands of movements over the course of a game, thousands of pieces of contact and whatever, and to determine whether it's a foul or not. And it's just like,
in real time, no less. I mean,
it makes a difference in their minds. It makes a difference in their minds. And they're like this, like, hey man, like this guy's hitting me every time. You got to see it,
Yeah,
and
it's
like,
not an easy job. Don't get me wrong. And I was not suggesting that, but
yeah, it is. The issue is that you're saying it's an impossible job. And, on some level, I think it does, just bring their attention to stuff. And, and like guys, obviously at this level, are like, okay, like I'm a good enough player that I deserve that call. Like there is a view in the league that like some guys get calls on the basis of being good players and some guys don't. And, like that's why Halliburton will complain about it, because he thinks he's a good enough player that he deserves to get more calls. He's like, man, like I'm an all-star. Like I deserve to get, You know, like if Jalen Brunson gets that call, I deserve to get that call. You know, and again, it is annoying. I mean, I think, you know, best player in the league is a free throw merchant. You know, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
That's like being a kicker leading the NFL, man. Hit your kicks, hit the kicks, hit the free throws, hit your free throws.
Yeah, but it's just like, but you get them. I mean, the thing is, you go get them. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander leads the league in scoring because he goes and gets them. He
gets to the rim. He draws fouls. I mean, that's a skill. I mean, that is a freaking skill because of how many points that you're talking about.
Yeah.
And it makes a huge difference.
Huge. And, you know, I mean, but like Gilgeous-Alexander sells it. He sells it big time. There are flops. There are leaning into contact, you know, like going out of your way to try to get somebody to hit you. You know, like, I mean, again, drives fans crazy, but gets them 10 a game. You know,
I mean,
yeah, it's plenty.
Dustin Dopirak, Pacers beat writer, with me from the Indy Star. The Pacers were in Portland last night. They lose that game 131-110. That is their 9th straight loss. So that should make Pacer fans happy. Which, again, that is so odd to say. Hey, they've lost 9 in a row. All right.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But, yeah, it is. Pascal Siakam has been their leading scorer in, I think, 6 of those 9 or whatever. He's led them in
every time he plays. Yeah.
Okay. There you go. So are you still in Portland, or are you in Sacramento yet?
I'm in Portland. I'm waking up.
So you head to Sacramento. When do you leave for Sacramento?
Couple hours.
Okay. So and you'll be the Pacers are heading to Sacramento next to end a West Coast swing that saw them, you know, in Sacramento. In Portland, they played the Clippers and the Lakers. So did you go to the Comedy Store?
No.
Damn it.
No, I did not.
Why? You had time.
You know what I did? I did have time, but I did and I didn't. I went to go see some IU related folks. Mr. Ryan Karchi and Greg Rosenstein. Rosenstein's an IU grad. Karchi worked at the Herald Times back in 2011-12. Was on the beat with me for the Watch Shot. So Karchi's a fantastic writer. You know, works at the LA Times, covers USC. Rosenstein is working at NBC Sports. Rosenstein was just covering the Winter Olympics. He was out in Milan Cortino for that. So Ryan's
I need you to please provide me with those contacts of those guys. I'd love to get them on and talk to them about their experiences.
100%. Great dudes. And so met Ryan's 4-year-old boy for the first time. Hadn't seen his wife in a long time. So I had to go up to the Valley to meet them. As you're fully aware,
had to go to the Valley. Now, when you go to the Valley, do you change?
I spent a long time in an Uber, man. Me and my Uber driver, I know his whole life story.
So you had an Uber driver. At least you didn't have one of those driverless cars.
No, I didn't. There were so many of them. And I probably would have taken one, but I didn't mess with that.
You know what? Sometimes I think people will like these better because a lot of people are uncomfortable with the awkward silence of a driver that there's nothing to talk about. I mean, unless you're someone like me who just brings up anything just so there isn't that awkward silence. But I think a lot of people are going to end up liking those driverless better.
Yeah, no, it is a the whole Ubering in general, or I say Ubering is a catch-all because obviously you can do Lyft, you can do
right.
These,
it's like Googling something. It doesn't matter how you look it up. You're looking it up.
You're looking it up, so you call it Google. But no, so like, I probably take what if I have how many road trips? I probably take 100 Uber rides a year. You know, no, let's say 50. Let's undersell because it's probably
you're building those Uber points up.
I don't know if I even have Uber points. I have no idea. But anyway, point of the matter, you know, so I've got I every single kind of interaction. I mean, I get Uber rides where we talk the entire time. I get Uber rides where we don't say a word. Some of that's dependent on me because sometimes if I just got on the plane, if I didn't sleep, I've got nothing to say, and like sometimes I push conversation, sometimes I don't. Sometimes they're like, if people find out I'm a sports writer and we have an entire conversation about something, sports related. I remember when I was in Toronto, I had like a 30-minute conversation with a guy who was like a fire swallower, like one of the like the old show things. I don't even like kind of circus kind of deal. That was amazing. That's one that sticks with me. My ride to the Valley, we talked about this guy was big into sports cars or whatever, or sports cards.
Did he have the Valley accent?
No.
I really like
Armenian.
My sports cars, man.
No, he was Armenian. He had a very thick European accent. But he was an interesting cat. So we talked about that. He has like he got a signed Michael Jordan Upper Deck card from like 94 that he cannot sell, and he doesn't know why. He can't get it graded right. And we had a whole conversation about this. So
you should have said, I'll tell you what, I'll take the card from you, give you my name and address. I'll get this taken care of.
Yeah, no, that was not going to work. He it graded out for like, I don't know. He bought like, if I bought it for like, I don't know, not 10 grand, like $1,500. I own no baseball cards that are $1,500. I promise.
I own none, period.
Not bottom line, that was one of the things I did. This is why I didn't go to the Comedy Store. That took up, that was that was a hike, man.
Well, but that makes sense for what you did. And I don't blame you because like I said, I look forward to meeting both of those guys, whether it's this, because I love meeting interesting people that get to cover different aspects and to cover the Winter Olympics. Wow, what a thrill that must have been. Covering any Olympics is amazing because there are always great stories, and it's just a story in and of itself.
Sure.
But there's that. The Pacers now not heading to the playoffs. Breaking news.
They have the second worst record currently in the NBA.
9 straight losses, and they still only have the second worst roster or standings in the league
in the NBA. Kings are 15-50, and they play the Kings tomorrow night. So it is the battle of the worst two teams in basketball. They have 15 wins. They're one of two teams with only 15 wins.
It's a half a game difference.
Yeah, there are two more teams with 16. So the issue is, so they're probably going to finish bottom 4. There is a slight difference if you finish bottom 4 versus bottom 3 in terms of your lottery odds. And that lottery odds now are all that matter for the Pacers, because it's not, if they had the worst record, there's a difference in this. So basically it's like if you strike out in the lottery, and you have the worst record, then you get 5th. And so it's like, but like if they get 5th, they lose the pick. If they get 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, they lose the pick. So all that matters is that they get one of the lottery balls to work their way. So, they're better off being bottom 3. They're okay being bottom 4. I don't think they want to fade to 5th. I think being top, like bottom 4 is the most important thing for them. And it's tough because the rest of the teams they're not winning very many games either. Washington's 16-47, the Nets are 16-47.
Well, what are we going to see in the game between Indiana and Sacramento? We're going to see teams that are taking the ball,
handing the ball back to each other,
throwing it up in the air. Yeah, this could be the epitome of the moment.
It could be.
I'm going to try to find that game.
It's going to be brutal. It's going to be brutal.
What time is that game?
I'm sure it's 10 or 10:30 local, or 10
on the West Coast. Yeah, it'll be on the West Coast. And well, the good thing is for Pacers fans, Mike Woodson's on the staff of Sacramento, right?
Yeah.
So you've got that going for you.
Sure. Going for you. Yeah. I guess.
So there's that. Yeah, half game difference between these two teams, and hopefully they can continue that. The Brooklyn Nets and Washington Wizards just right behind them at 16-47. So those are the 4 teams that are battling for that last place spot. I still can't get over. I don't think I've ever had a deal where I was constantly talking about finishing last.
Sure.
Well, the Pacers have never been in that position. They've
No.
always been, when they weren't good, they were middling.
Generally.
The Colts,
For the last 30 years at least. Yeah. No, I mean, like
Yeah.
you got to go back to late, I mean, they won 25 games in 21-22, so they kind of tanked for Benedict Mathurin. And they tanked a little late in the 2022-23 season. They pulled the plug basically in the last the last 10 games, more or less. Halliburton and Turner didn't play. I mean, they weren't healthy, but they weren't hurt. So, more or less, like you could say, all right, that was pretty much, at the end of the day, that was tank job, to some extent. It was a soft tank, if you will. But I mean, they weren't doing that, in like right after the All-Star break. I mean, they were competitive for a while, and then it was like, okay, play-in's not going to do much for us. Let's go get one more player and then go. They just wanted to be in the lottery. They wanted to make sure that was the Wembanyama year. So it was like, okay, like they weren't in any position to really compete to get the worst record, but it was like, okay, well, once, they got to a certain point, it's like, let's just make sure we've got some lottery tickets for this, just to see, let's not, it's not worth it to try to get, in the play-in when we can at least get some chance at getting this player, and even if we don't get him, there'll be some other guys we can get around 7 or 8. They end up with Jarris Walker. So, they have pulled the plug before, but this is different. This is a different thing, but there's more at stake and they're more screwed basically. Like this season has been over for a long time. As far as their goose has been cooked for most of the year. I mean, really out of the game. And they started 2-16. They were 6-31. Like you're 6-31, it's over. There's no there's no getting off that mat. You're done. So since mid-January they've been done. I mean, they showed some fight. After that went like 9-9, and I think they needed to just prove to themselves they could do anything. And now they're at the point where it doesn't make sense to have to prove a lot. But I would say the quality of play is getting concerning. I mean, I am seeing the fan base being like, all right, man, this is bad. Because the guys have been playing lately. You've seen Nesmith, Nembhard, Siakam on the floor. There have been enough stretches where you're like, okay, well, this can't happen. There has to be better quality of play than this. They gave up like a 20-2 run yesterday. They're just giving up layups, and that it is a fine line to walk that you don't want to create bad habits. And if you're the Pacers, you're hoping you can just wash this off. That you get through this and it ends, and you can just forget it ever happened and act like.
I think that being able to play good basketball next year will take care of that. When they have Tyrese Halliburton back, it's a mental thing too. And you've got a draft pick, now you're like, all right, let's get back at it. Let's get back to wing. Boy, and I mean, I think this losing, it will actually be a motivator because nothing sucks more than losing, especially if you're a competitor. And obviously these guys are competitors. Anybody that's a professional athlete, they're competitors. So the Pacers are probably the second worst team. I mean, actually, I'm gonna right now. It does appear that Sacramento is the worst team. They've lost 20 out of their last 23 games. So they're really working on it. Although they did beat the Bulls last night.
They did. Big moment for the Pacers. Big deal there. We're celebrating. Yeah. Maybe
Sacramento could go on a 2-game streak now that they're playing the second worst team in the league. So it's going to be interesting to see how this game comes out.
Yeah. No.
Will there be fines from the NBA for this game?
I mean, it depends on who sits out, man. If you get everybody to play, you get everybody to play. I mean, the Kings are throwing out some crazy lineups. I'm looking at this, first off, Russell Westbrook is in a place where he's having to do all this stuff, and that is not a place you want to be at this stage. But yeah, no, I mean, they're in an interesting position. for sure. So yeah, the Pacers are avoiding fines right now. Like TJ McConnell has a legit hamstring deal, and TJ is aging, and he's going to be 34 by the end of the month. And so, if you're playing full-time basketball, that's the stage when the body starts to get after you. It is in real life too, even if you're not, but like he's obviously putting a lot more tread on his tires than most of us were at 34. So TJ's probably not gonna play. I'd be shocked if TJ plays. And TJ was pulled from the game the other day, and we didn't speak to him. He's hurting. He's legitimately hurting. Jarris Walker turned his ankle a little bit. Maybe he'll get pulled. Nemhard's been dealing with a back. He was listed questionable last night. So I imagine the stage is set for those guys to not play. And I don't know, but they'll probably have to play Siakam. And they'll probably have to play Nesmith. Because those guys have been playing and they've been listed probable, and Obi Toppin has been playing, so those guys will probably all play. So they might not have a point guard. Basically, they might have to they might do it. They might tell a team tomorrow that all shots must be bank shots.
Not only that, maybe they should pull a Larry Bird, and every shot has to be left-handed.
Left-handed, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But
that's not good because Larry Bird scored 36 points, I think.
Yeah, he wasn't tanking. Larry was doing that just because he was that good.
Who the hell? First of all, who thinks of that? Who the hell can even think, hey, I'm going to play this game completely left-handed on purpose and then score 36 freaking points?
Guys that are wired like Larry Bird can do that.
People today don't understand.
Yeah.
They see these guys and think LeBron and this and that, and they think and Larry and how he, dude, go back, watch freaking film. The passes, the shots, and he's talking. The thing is, you don't know is he's talking more smack than anybody in the freaking league. And backing it, oh my God. I love going on YouTube and listening to the stories of the guys that he was pulling that stuff on. Tell it, because they're breaking up and all that fun. But hey, we've got to take a break. Speaking of which, the great Dustin Dopirak from the Indy Star with me. Let's take one. Back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after these messages. Indiana football accomplished what no other team ever has. Big Ten, Rose Bowl, Peach Bowl, and CFP national champions. The Hoosiers have etched their name into the history books as the first 16-0 team in the modern era. A limited edition of only 5,000 commemorative national championship footballs has been released. 3 full panels embossed and stamped with every championship logo and fully licensed. Get your piece of history today at NICOsports.com. That's NIKCOSPORTS.com.
The ISC Sports Network is your home for sports content across the Hoosier State. Find us live on TV and streaming or archived on our website and our app. The ISC is your one-stop shop for the content you want to see, including high school sports, college sports, and other great events throughout the year. Subscribe to our streaming service and get access to it all. ISC. Local lives here.
If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemore@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington has the deals for you, like great savings on the remaining 2025 Hondas. First-time buyers get more than expected. The Honda Civic and HR-V are the most popular vehicles for first-time buyers in the U.S. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington also has a quality selection of pre-certified used vehicles. And check out the selection of Andy Moore Honda Bloomington's 2026 models, like the Honda Passport, Honda CR-V Hybrid, Honda Ridgeline, and more. ISB Radio with Jim Coyle is brought to you exclusively on The Zone by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer.
Dave & Buster's Bloomington is the place to eat, drink, play, and watch. Enjoy half-price games every Sunday through Thursday, a new menu to dig into, and next-level upgrades like private game suites, the high-flying human crane that puts you in the game, our exclusive arena, and more. Only at Dave & Buster's Bloomington, 731 South College Mall Road.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Monday. Thank you for joining us. Jim Coyle, as always, joined by the great Dustin Dopirak from the Indy Star, current beat writer for the Pacers, former beat writer for Indiana. He's covered. Did you ever cover Penn State?
When I was in college. Yeah.
Okay. Well, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I have never had.
Well, I meant, I didn't, I meant, but either way, that's.
Not since graduation. I have never had a out of school professional gig covering Penn State, which is kind of weird. But I mean, so I spent 4 years covering Penn State in some way, shape, or form when I was in school, but not since I graduated.
Eastern Michigan and Western Michigan.
That's
geographical schools. Fired their basketball coaches on the same day.
Well, okay then.
Stan Heath.
Mm.
Is that former assistant to Tom Izzo, or
no? Well, maybe. I mean, what?
Some one of those guys were, but
didn't he get in trouble for something?
Something, yeah, that's what I'm trying to. I'd have to.
Yeah,
I'd have to Google that.
Yeah, going over it. He was at Arkansas, South Florida. Okay.
The one that was at East. Let's see, which one? It's not. Oh, it's just tantalizing. You got to get all deep in there to find out which one of those guys was a former assistant to Tom Izzo. I guess it wasn't. Yeah, Heath was previously at Kent State.
He wasn't.
Went to the Elite Eight with them. Yeah. Got at Arkansas to the NCAA tournaments too, and South Florida as well. Stevens was on Izzo's staff for 19 seasons, including the last decade as associate head coach. His assistant coaches has not fared well leaving.
Yeah, it's not an easy. I mean, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Yeah, you never know.
But a lot of schools have already made the NCAA tournament. They a lot of tournaments last week. So, and they're wanting to grow the tournament, Dustin. It's not big enough. The fact that there are teams in the bubble right now that are just not they're not good, but yet they need more teams. And I'm like, what teams? Who's crying for more teams to be in the tournament? Nobody. No one that I'm aware of, except for teams that aren't making the tournament, maybe. Sure. But it's a great product that they're trying to water down. And
I mean, I think the issue has always been that they make a case that there are deserving teams that don't get in. They're like the teams that I feel bad for every year are the ones that like win their league.
Miami, for example.
Right. Miami's getting in.
They should get in, and I think that they will get in.
They're getting in.
But there could be situations where, what you're talking about.
They'll let teams in before they first off, I don't think they're going to lose in the first place. I don't think they're going to lose in the MAC tournament. I think Miami's going to win in the MAC tournament. But if they lose to somebody good, oddly enough, like Bruce Pearl became like the central figure in this argument against them. But I guess he said the other night that he thinks Miami will get in. They're undefeated. I'm sorry, they're not leaving them out. Like, I know they didn't play the non-conference schedule that you've seen some better mid-major teams play over the course of the years, but they're unbeaten. They're just not getting left out. Like, I'm sorry, they're just not. And it's the MAC. Everybody's heard of the MAC. It's like, even though it might not be the best mid-major conference, like there's more name recognition because of football for the MAC than there is, so a lot of other great mid-major leagues. They get some name recognition based on the fact that they have a fully functional football conference and have for as long as I've been watching college football. So they're getting in. They're getting in, period. It's some of these other, I think like Central Arkansas got beat, I think is a team that did pretty well. I got to call up standings. I'm trying to think of like UNC Wilmington went 26-6, 15-3. They get beat in the first round of the CAA tournament. Like teams like that are the ones I feel bad for, because
I hear you.
You dominate your league all year, and then you get to this tournament and you get beat, and it's one and done. If you lose,
And that's why I hate the fact that the auto bids are to the tournament guys instead of a team that goes all year long, whether it's 20 games, wins the league tournament. The league championship after going 20 games, 10 times on the road. That should be the auto champion, but they only do this for TV, the tournament. So I'm, if you want to increase the team,
you're weighing two things though. The issue is you're weighing visibility. Like the visibility issue is this: like you get this stretch from like Friday, Saturday through about Wednesday, into about Wednesday when the big conference tournaments start. In this period, like, it is the one time a year where everybody is watching mid-major basketball. And if you start making the bids contingent on what you did in the regular season, you will have no platform all year unless your team wins a game in the tournament. And so you basically, like, the idea that, okay, get your best team in, and therefore, make it the regular season champ. The gamble there is that does nothing for you if your team doesn't win, and because like like people love this stuff, for as much as it's heartbreaking and it's unfair and everything like that. But like, that's the NCAA tournament too, like best team don't always win. Like we've had a couple years in a row where the best team has won. But there's probably the longest stretch in a while that you could say, all right, like, team that was pretty dominant for much of the year got it. Florida was up there, last year. You're like, all right, like Florida going in, it was a lot of people's picks. UConn the 2 years before that, I think were a lot of people's picks. And especially the year before that, like UConn's dominating. And it's like, okay, but I mean, you've had a lot of seasons where you've seen a great team go down, because it's one and done. And like, that's the thrill. That's the unfairness. It is unfair. The NCAA tournament is unfair. Let's underline that. Like there is a difference. Like when you play best of 7, like you like the best team gets rewarded. It's hard. It's very, very, and like the one and done situation creates an unfairness. Like I've seen a lot of great teams, that end up winning the championship will lose a game 1 in the NBA in a best of 7 format. You lose a game 1, spit on it, go back, make a comeback. I've seen the Pacers do it. Like lose game 1, lose game 2, come back, win the series. Or lose game 1, win game 2. On the road, come back, win a series. Happens all the time. Shoot, the Pacers beat the Knicks a couple years ago. They didn't win a road game until game 7. So like that ultimately rewards it over time. NCAA tournament's not fair. It is not fair. But like, that's what makes it fun. It's chaos, and like that's mid-majors win, like that 12 seed beats a 5 darn near every year. And, generally if you play that game 50 times, the 5 seed wins, 40, something like that. But for the 10 times they don't, like that's why we watch. And so, but like that, correlates to, mid-major tournaments. I mean, that's their most compelling TV all year. But it's the TV money. It's the event itself. I mean, like that's the other thing about like, mid-major conferences, like that's a big reason why they started. Everybody has a championship game in college football, is that like you think, okay, well, what does the MAC need a championship for? Like that game's buried on Saturday afternoon or whatever it is on championship Saturdays. Nobody's watching that when you can watch the Big 12 or the SEC or whatever. But like the event itself brings in tickets, and like that's sort of how these conferences like keep the lights on, you know. And so the conference tournaments is a huge part of what keeps the lights on in the mid-major. It's their biggest event of the year. You know, it like you're talking 10 days, you know, you're talking like, you know, 10, 11 teams and 3-4 days when, you know, like you got full days. I mean, when I covered the CAA, you know, like when I covered James Madison, I mean, like that was their deal. And you had some, you know, some schools with some legit sized alumni bases, and they're all coming down to Richmond, you know, and they're all buying drinks, and they're all, you know, some people are getting hotels for the weekend, and they're quarterfinal Saturday when it was like I guess it was quarterfinal Saturday. You know, 4 games, they're all day, you know, buying food, buying drinks, hanging out, you know, all that kind of stuff, buying the packages, whatever it is, you know, $100.
What nemesis means? Oops, sorry about that.
Sure, why not? It's a great question. But no, it's these are moneymakers. You know, I mean, like like if the whole gig for every mid-major was to just get its best team in, then you wouldn't do this. But there's a whole lot of other considerations, and a lot of them is money.
We've got a little bit of time left. I've got to take a break before I forget. What is your wife's favorite restaurant?
I have no idea.
That's bad news.
She has a lot. I'm trying to think of like, where are we in Indy?
Like top end favorite. I mean, or maybe she hasn't gotten to go there. Like, I'd love to go there.
What's our favorite? You know, I don't know.
Like,
that's not fair. It's like
there's St. Elmo's, there's Harry and Izzy's, but there's so many places I don't know.
She's not big on those. We've done steakhouse. We did those for our anniversary a couple times, and one each. Partly because I had gift cards, and so you know she's okay with those. I'm trying to think of like we did a place called Mesh that she really liked. You know, I would say like we probably go to a high-end restaurant like 2-3 times a year.
Well, yeah, I get that, but like, what would that be?
What her favorite high-end experience has been? You know, Mesh was up there.
The difference between Indianapolis and like Louisville, I'm very much more familiar with Louisville. The restaurants there are in area groups like Frankfurt Avenue or Bardstown Road, or down in the area they call New Louisville, which is left on Main Street. But all of it's funny. They're all kind of grouped in the same areas. But
no, actually, her favorite restaurant in Indy in terms of places we go to all the time is Loco, the Mexican restaurant. So
LOCO?
Just LOCO. You know, there was one that we lived really close to when we were in our first place. So
you can never go wrong with Mexican.
I'm saying this just so that I am paying attention as a husband. You know, like I'm not a total schmuck. It's just we don't, you know, like we go to, I'm trying to think, we like Nesso on it's like around the block from Gainbridge. But you know, that's just me saying that like I'm not a total loser as a husband. I don't not notice what she likes.
You've paid somewhat attention.
Yeah, so I pay attention. It's just like we like sample size as far as places.
All that matters.
All that matters.
Yeah. Dustin Dopirak from the Indy Star. Make sure you're following him and all of his coverage for the Pacers and all around sports genius. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you so much. I know that you had to. You're on the West Coast.
The sun has finally risen in the West. So.
Good for you. I hope it's a great day, sir. Enjoy your trip.
Will do. All right.
Dustin Dopirak joining us here. We've got a little more coming up.
Am I staying for one more? Am I staying for one more?
Yeah, I'd love to have you stay.
How much more do I got? Actually, I got to go, actually.
We probably have like 8 minutes. So
I got to go.
Appreciate you, buddy. We'll see you next week.
See ya.
All right. Dustin Dopirak. We've got more coming up. Back with it right after these messages. Indiana football accomplished what no other team ever has. Big Ten, Rose Bowl, Peach Bowl, and CFP national champions. The Hoosiers have etched their name into the history books as the first 16-0 team in the modern era. A limited edition of only 5,000 commemorative national championship footballs has been released. 3 full panels embossed and stamped with every championship logo and fully licensed. Get your piece of history today at NicoSports.com. That's NicoSports.com. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington has the deals for you, like great savings on the remaining 2025 Hondas. First-time buyers get more than expected. The Honda Civic and HR-V are the most popular vehicles for first-time buyers in the U.S. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington also has a quality selection of pre-certified used vehicles. And check out the selection of Andy Moore Honda Bloomington's 2026 models, like the Honda Passport, Honda CR-V Hybrid, Honda Ridgeline, and more. ISB Radio with Jim Coyle is brought to you exclusively on The Zone by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemore@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today.
Zach Browning here to
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Jim Coyle, as always. Glad to have you along and glad to start your Monday off. Appreciate Don Fischer joining us as always, Greg Rakestraw, Dustin Dopirak. Most importantly, each and every one of you. We've got a few minutes left here, but the Big Ten tournament getting started tomorrow. Maryland taking on Oregon. Penn State taking on Northwestern, a game that Indiana fans will be paying more attention to, as that will be the winner of that game will be Indiana's opponent. And if they are able to get past either Northwestern or Penn State, and they just lost at home recently to Northwestern, who has beaten them 6 straight times. I've got to tell you, that's a must-win game for Indiana. If it ends up being I don't care who it ends up being, but especially if it ends up being Northwestern, you can't. I'll say you can't lose to them a seventh straight time, especially with what's on the line. But hell, they lost to them a 6th straight time in Simon Scott Assembly Hall with what was on the line. So. This is an important game for Darren DeVries. It's important that he get his team to play. Part of what their issue is right now, they don't move. They're not moving the ball like they did earlier in the year, which made it very difficult for opposing teams' defenses to keep up. Well, they're not making it as difficult anymore, which makes it easier to defend. And to me, that's been I don't know if that's to me, that may be a bigger issue than the rebounding. Partly because if they were still moving the ball like they had been, the offense would be better. There would be less rebounds to even worry about. But I think the rebounding might be better just because of the movement. When you move like that, you don't allow defenses to stagnate closer to the rim. They're allowing defenses to stay in better position by not moving. So they've got to pick up the pace, so to speak. We'll see if they can do that. But I'm kind of wondering why that has gone away and where has it gone and why has it Darren said, hey, guys, you want to win? This is how we have to play. And if you can't do it, we don't have a chance to win. And if you don't want to do it, I'll stick somebody in who will at least try to do it. Because if you're not going to move the ball and you're not going to rebound, you're not going to win. So hopefully they can get all that taken care of, get it swung around. We're back tomorrow. Perfect timing with Mike DeCourcy, as he will be all over the Big Ten tournament with the Big Ten and the Big Ten Network, more importantly, and his duties with Fox. He'll be extraordinarily busy and in tune with that, as well as J.D. Campbell's going to join us. Nick Zeisloff, former IU shooter, three-point specialist, and Rob Judson tomorrow. He's a former assistant and Illinois guard. So all kinds of different stuff coming up for you. Tournament getting started tomorrow as well. Appreciate each and every one of you. Go out, have yourselves a great day. Until tomorrow, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page for more clips and team coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and more. You can also find full episodes and tons of other content on thehoosier.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio.